All right, guys, SEC play about here for Alabama. We're nearly a month into the college football season. The Tide will welcome in 15th ranked Ole Miss and head coach Lane Kiffin to Tuscaloosa this Saturday. Mike McCoy, Simone, Eli, we're going to break down everything with the Tide on both sides of the ball, give you our big predictions for the Rebels and Bama coming up just a little bit later in the show. Let's go head to head. All right, everybody, welcome in. We want to quickly thank our sponsor, the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. Mike joining us from the Maximum Performance Institute in Bessemer. Mike, did you get your workout in today? Are you ready to go? I mean, you got the glasses on. You look very studious today.
Look, just got my Hulk on. I can't see without my glasses on. If somebody robbed me, I can tell you they're going to get a height variance between 5'8" and 6'2". So, got my glasses on.
I like it. I like it. Good stuff. Let's talk about Alabama. Before we start talking about SEC play and what things are going to look like with Ole Miss, let's go backwards. I know a lot of Tide fans don't want to, but it's completely necessary to talk about what things are going to look like moving forward. But let's talk about South Florida, a game that Tide fans want to forget. You probably want to forget. Just an ugly outing. A win is a win, but wow. What are your overall thoughts from that performance?
What I assess is Bill O'Brien, I'm sorry. I'm making a public apology. I'm sorry. Pete Golden, I'm sorry. Look, you hear it from me. I take ownership. It wasn't y'all.
Okay.
It was not you guys. It was the players. But I take my stance on it. But I think, looking back at it, I think Alabama is going to go back to that 08, 07. I know people don't want to hear it, but we're going to have to go back to a run-heavy offense where it's a run, then pass situation. And the reason I say it, because you have the players to do it. I don't trust the O-line to say, man, I don't know if they can cover an ant bed right now. I mean, I'm you know, and we keep making excuses for them. So, and I don't deal with anxiety. Forget all that. I know a lot of people who like, you understand. Look, if I'm paying you a check to do your job, do your job.
You're right.
Or go somewhere else. You know, you're stinking it up for somebody else. But overall, I think we have to go back to a Glenn Coffey, a Trent Richardson, a Mark Ingram, a Terry Grant, Kenneth Darby even era, where it's a run. You pick one or two primary receivers, and we go that way. We're just going to slow the game down and run it down people's throat. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to win.
But how do you do that? Here's my question, Mike, when it comes to that. How do you do that with an O-line that you don't have confidence in?
Bring an extra tight end in. I think we have the players to do it. I think you have the running backs. I mean, why is Roydell just not getting off? I got a chance to witness this kid in high school. He should have been carrying that pill. He should have been carrying it.
Yeah.
Should have been carrying it. So it's like I'm like they having to come to Jesus meeting or something. So hopefully, I know they had a little players. They were in arms, holding hands, had their kumbaya. I hope a lot of people got cussed out, and I hope they got their house in order.
Definitely necessary after that win. 17-3 was the final. It was just a bizarre game with the weather delay. Just overall with maybe the hype of Tyler Buchner, which didn't last beyond maybe a drive or two. What was your thought process on Buchner and Simpson combining for 10 completions, 107 passing yards? I mean, things just, like a lot of people have said, okay, was Nick Saban trying to prove a point? Whether it was to Tommy Rees, to higher ups, to somebody. I mean, he's not the guy to do that, but was he just throwing them out there to say, okay, if y'all don't think Jalen Milroe's the guy, here's the other two options we have. And then it falls flat, and now he's going back to Jalen Milroe. Was he trying to prove a point?
I don't know if he was proving a point or just saying, hey, man, hey, Jalen, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't know it was you. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. It was the guys. It was those five guys in front of you.
Yeah.
And the quarterback, the guy from – look, this is my whole thing. When has Notre Dame been relevant? I mean, since Rudy. Be honest. Nobody is –
Since Rudy, bro.
You know, that's the only thing about – and Tim Brown. Them the only thing I know about Notre Dame. And not saying I am a SEC guy, so we tend to kind of hone in on your home teams a little bit. But
there is no question. There's no question that Notre Dame has benefited from not being in a conference, being an independent school, and maybe not having the type of schedule that you have to have when you do play in a conference. I mean, I'm not saying they haven't played talented teams, but they certainly have benefited from being an independent school. I don't think that's going to go very long moving forward for Notre Dame specifically. But you're right. We've seen what they fall flat on a national level. I mean,
we got catfish.
Yeah,
we got catfish. We got catfish.
Yeah.
We got catfish literally.
There you
every
go.
time.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I guess to the how did I feel about the quarterback play? I don't think it was fair because I don't think any one of those two guys looked comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think we reverted to what we have always done well: run the ball.
We just spoke on Monday to Nick Saban and a couple of players. Coach said he is moving forward with Jalen and that he was impressed with his support for the guys who were playing against South Florida. How did you feel like his body language was on the sideline in that game?
I think it was tremendous. Now, you were a college athlete like I was. It's hard to go back to bologna when you've been eating steak.
Yeah.
Right. When you've been the shiznit, and they say, hey, man, hey, park it over here. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you.
Yeah.
It happens. But the way he handled it, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know. I heard McCoy say a couple things that he was suspended. I heard some of these. I don't know. I wasn't in the locker room, and I don't drink beer with the guys. The way he celebrated those guys, you got to say, man, that's a special kid, man.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's a special kid. And, I mean, I'm a fan. I still think he's a Vince guy, but I also think you have to play to his strengths. Yep. They're two different. We all have fingerprints for a reason. They're all different. Mm-hmm. And you can't expect a Bryce Young from day one.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to chime in on is I don't know if these kids can separate social media and play. I don't know. You got these boys are taking whoopings and losing or not playing up to par, yet and still they sharing pictures on IG, on Facebook. Mm-hmm. They want to be seen.
Yeah.
How, and that right there that's the biggest difference. If me as a head coach, now I know he's trying to get these boys much money as he can to continue, but lock all the way in. Take them off social media. Don't post something. If you're going to get on it on Sundays.
I know.
Other than that, everybody needs to be locked in.
Some of these guys just worry more about the money and less about the field. That's a problem, and it can definitely be a problem come Saturday when Ole Miss comes to town. I think that the Alabama defense looked much improved. I don't think that, if you watch the game, 5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. I mean, they were getting after it. They were flying around, playing the way you want to see them play. But South Florida's not Ole Miss. Ole Miss is averaging more than 50 a game. Regardless, one of those games was 70-some points against Mercer. But we know Lane Kiffin has people's number. This is the type of guy who prepares all offseason to try to beat Alabama. He hasn't head from that. I mean, this guy, he circles this game, and it's the only dang thing he cares about. So he's going to come out guns blazing. How do you feel like this defense matches up against a very high-powered offense and a very high-powered dual-threat quarterback?
I was watching Spidey last night with my little boy before we went to bed. And I said, man, Lane Kiffin is the Green Goblin. No matter, he going to be the same every year. He going to talk a little bit, going to play nice, and he going to throw a rock. He going to hide his hand. But if he comes into T-Town and win, whoa.
I know.
It's going to be a nail biter. But people forget Alabama is still Alabama. And long as you got that old St. Nick on that sideline, you got a chance.
Well,
you got a chance.
We'll get to predictions in just a moment. But before we do, let's talk about Jackson Dart. This is the Rebels quarterback who has been unbelievably impressive. More than 850 passing yards on the year, 7 touchdowns. But what impressed me the most is that last week against Georgia Tech, the guy ran for 136 and 2 scores. I mean, you don't see, Mike, you just don't see these true dual threat guys as much anymore. You're seeing these guys who are pocket passers, or you're seeing guys who can't pass and all they can do is run. But when you see these true, pure dual threats, those guys are scary dudes in this day in college football.
I'll have the privilege, because I have a couple guys that are at Ole Miss, and they were ranting and raving by him before he got a chance to come in. I'm like, man, get gone, bro. This is Ole Miss. Who we talking about?
All right.
Y'all good for your 9 wins. No, when I got a chance to watch this kid and see how electric he is, I mean, and cool as a cucumber. He is,
Mhm.
man, he
Mhm.
got it.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to take place with this guy is Coach Saban's going to have a spy on him the entire game. The
Yeah.
entire game.
There's definitely all the motivation and really nothing to lose for Ole Miss. They're the 7-point underdog, which I was shocked by that spread. But they're not only are they the underdog, but it's like they can smell the blood. They know that Bama isn't the Bama that they have been. And okay, is this the time to strike? Is this the time to go into T-Town and pull off that upset? I just think that all the motivation is there for that team.
Let me ask you this. If somebody's guarding you and they got a brace on their right knee, are you going to go left or you going to go to their right
I'm
knee?
gonna go right. You know
You
that. I mean,
feel me?
of course,
So
you're right. I mean,
you
you're
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely. And listen, Lane Kiffin ain't dumb. Sometimes he might play a little silly. He might be a little jokester, but at the end of the day, that guy is wheeling and dealing. And if you think that his little comment about Kevin Steele was
Mm,
him,
bang
listen,
bang.
take that. He's stirring that pot up, bro. That's what he does. And he coming back and say, "Oh, I wasn't trying to start nothing." Come on, man. Listen, Nick Saban does not like when when the curtain is ever pulled back on anything. Okay. And Coach said on Monday, Kevin Steele's a play caller, but we've thrown in some wrinkles with T-Rob to make sure that we can get, play calls in faster and things like that. Nick Saban doesn't want to have to address that sort of thing on a Monday press conference. And Lane Kiffin knows that. This dude knows what he's doing, man.
My mama told me a long time ago, a smart man can play a fool, but a fool can't play smart. Let that one marinate.
You're right. You're right. I like it. I like it. I think that he knows exactly what he's doing. And we'll see how it actually pans out when it comes to when they're on the field. It's prediction time. Mike, I've been thinking about this for days, for hours. It's keeping me up at night. I don't know where to go. I'm going to let you go first, and then I'm going to give my prediction. What will be the final score? Kickoff is 2:30 at Bryant-Denny. Alabama, Ole Miss, both ranked in the top 15. What do you expect?
I say 28-24, Bama.
Okay. So a close
I think it's gonna come down. I think it's gonna come down to special teams.
Okay. We'll see. I'm gonna go 31-24 Rebels.
Oh!
And listen, man, I'm nervous. I'm not trying to upset nobody, but I just think, like you said, that brace is on the right knee, and that team is licking their chops to go right. And we'll see how it plays out. But I think this team is coming in hungry. I think Bama is coming in with a cracked foundation. Will they figure it out eventually? I hope so. I want to see Alabama do well. Of course I do, especially because Nick Saban is coming towards the tail end of his career whenever that comes. You don't want to see a guy go down, have a downtrend before he ends up being done. Nobody wants to see that. I certainly don't want to see that. I just think this is a team that's wounded. And this is an Ole Miss team coming in with all types of confidence and a head coach who circles this game on his calendar last fall.
Well, the only rebuttal I got is a lot of people have confidence that they get hit in the mouth. Mm-hmm. So if Saban, if you ever get a chance to watch this video, call me now. Hey, I know y'all got the money to afford me, but run the ball, bro. Don't do nothing else. Run the ball.
Take notes. Take notes from Mike McCoy. He's the offensive guru, guys. All right, we will see how things turn out. It's going to be the SEC on CBS Game of the Week, the 2:30 game. So fans, of course, will have fun with the game broadcast as they always do. Brad and Gary, of course. But we're going to enjoy it, and we will see you back here next week. I have Ole Miss. Mike McCoy has Bama. He's going to be true to the tide, and I like that prediction too. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Head to Head. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Brought to you by Alabama Beef Farmers and Ranchers.